landmark cases.
Yes.
Call it that.
Yes.
For the countries in terms of how we run our elections and just shaping direction of our country as it
Yes.
is now.
Yes.
What was going through your mind as an individual, aside your profession, everything else? How did that impact on your life?
What the case itself?
Yes.
So no one went into that case believing that it was going to take a year. No, I think the vast majority of us were just excited to be a part of something that monumental. And we thought it was going to be not a walk in the park, but maybe with the benefit of hindsight, that was a little naive. We ought to have known that you cannot dislodge power that easily. Power fights back. Okay, so we went into the case a little naive about how long it was going to take for us to wrap it up, and then we realized that we were stuck in it. It was taking forever. And if it wasn't for Hilda, because at that time she was the only partner I had, if it wasn't for her, I think the firm would have collapsed probably, because I was hardly there.
All your concentration.
I was for 8 months or so. It took about 61 court days. I've never been involved, and I think none of the lawyers who have been involved in a case that took about 61 court days. But that's how long it took. 61 court days. You go there, you sit, you're taking notes, you're planning, you're listening in. It was just insane. So it was very taxing, and but also you learn quite a lot about power, what desperation does to otherwise good people. All right, when people are desperate, there's no limit. There's no limit to the kind of things they can do to get out of a situation that has caused that desperation. You learned about what happens when we are called upon to leave the ideals that are expressed in the law, because some of the things that the law speaks about are idealistic yet. To turn them into reality requires guts. Right, and I think we saw that in the case. But you also, then learned how, some kind of a case affects you at even a personal level. There's issues of your personal security that you need to look into. When you get cast as a particular lawyer, you belong to this particular part. Even now, that's a UTM lawyer.
It goes on.
It goes on. I'm just UTM was not even a party to that case. We were representing Dr. Jirima, but we branded. These are MCP lawyers. These are UTM lawyers. I mean, maybe some do indeed have those political, but not everybody. Some were there.
Just doing your job.
He was just doing the job. Yeah, so, but admittedly, it was a life-changing experience, and I think we're grateful for the opportunity to have played whatever part we did.
You just mentioned another beauty of you having your partner as part of your
Yes,
business.
yes, indeed.
That she was able to hold it through.
She heard the fort. Absolutely, she heard the fort, because there were, I think we'd be having these maybe 2-week blocks of hearings, so you couldn't attend to any other business. You had to be in there, and I remember we weren't being remunerated, doing that case yet. So it's not like
there was money coming in.
No, it's just So, it was quite taxing. It took a toll.
It was a hectic moment.
It was.
For both of you. But what does it take now to sail through such tough periods together?
Yes. So you see, talk about it. People, and I'm not an expert in stress management, right?
Yes.
But talk about what you're going through. If it's difficult, tell those that you trust that this thing is hell. It's tough, it's difficult. That's 50% done. When you open up,
So a weight off your shoulder.
absolutely, yeah. So the fact that I I was able to share with her that, okay, this is, and helped quite a great deal. Then I think find that which, healthy releases of stress. For me, it's walking. All right, just go walk, do 5Ks, 8Ks, 10Ks, and at least that kind of restores me. Because I think the temptation sometimes is to seek refuge in things that are destructive. So if I'm hitting the bottle too hard because you're trying to manage stress, for those that smoke, then smoking too hard, eating eating too much because you're trying to manage stress and so on and so forth. Then at the end of the day, it doesn't really build you up. So you also need to find healthier ways of doing it. But do whatever it is that distresses you, and then
Great. So as we're about to wind up our conversation, what are your aspirations going forward, career-wise, personally, or is it that you have arrived, as we call it?
We haven't arrived. We're still building this thing up. For us, we want to, we want every time people think that they have got some very complex, tricky legal issues, that when you're thinking about people that can provide solutions, we should be in the mix there. That they think about us. So we're still in the process of building our practice to that level. Number one. Two, would want to specialize. Currently we do all sorts of things, but we want to kind of drop some and then just focus on a few. Because if we focus on a few, that will give us depth, right? Give us depth. The future belongs to connoisseurs. These are undoubted experts in the area. Okay, if you compete,
so you really need to know your stuff.
Absolutely. If you're going to compete, you need to be a subject matter expert. That undoubted expertise. That if someone can wake you up at 3 a.m. and ask you a very complex question, to be able to break it down. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what those are the aspirations. We also want to, for me above all, I want to build a firm that can outlive me. Okay, I don't want Sorghum Company to die with me. Right? That's been the problem in Malawi. There are very few firms that have survived their founding partners' death or resignation, or if people decide to go into politics, usually that's the end. But I want to have a firm that's going to outlast me. And hopefully, even if you decide that I've had enough of law practice, I'm going to go home to the village and just do whatever. They should still be Sorghum Co, because that's what you see in the world. When I had occasion a few years ago to visit one of the biggest Scandinavian law firms. They call it Mannheimer Swartling, and these guys have been around since the 19th century, 18-something. That's when they were founded. And you see the portraits of the founding partners, and these guys have been dead for decades. Centuries.
But
actually.
the company is still there.
The law firm is still there. It's now in multiple jurisdictions in the Scandinavian, and that's the kind of thing that I think we Malawian lawyers should aim at. You can't have Sorghum Company, Banda and Associates, and it dies when Banda dies. It dies when Soko dies, when Soko decides to go into politics, and then that's the end. Or you can't have some kind of business setup. So you need to have a setup that, maybe 50 years from now, there are going to be partners who won't even be Sokos, but still be Sorghum Co. And they'll probably say, founded in 2014. I'm hoping that this firm, 100 years from now, is going to celebrate a centenary, and say, we've been around for 100 years. These were the founding partners. The only thing that will associate us with the firm will be our portraits, but by that time would have been long dead, But you can, and I think that, of course, it calls for succession planning, but also just deliberately building an institution that is forward-looking, not tethered to you too much, where you are the law firm.
You hold everything.
No, you shouldn't be the law firm. You should just be one of the people working in that law firm. Yeah. Okay, so I think for me, I'm a firm believer that vision is everything. If you do not have a vision, you perish. A lot of people don't go anywhere because they don't have a vision. You need to have an idea of where it is that you're going. And then secondly, you need to have the discipline to chase that vision. Having a vision is one thing, but if you're not working towards it, then you're not any different from some random dreamer. So you need to have the discipline to chase your dream. Lastly, the ability to be innovative and to reinvent yourself. But you're going to meet obstacles along the way, all right? So vision, discipline is important, but you need to be able to say, okay, I need to get to point A, but there's an obstacle in front of me. How do I navigate around it? And I think that calls for you to capacitate yourself, invest in yourself so that you are the kind of person that is going to get to that particular destination. But you can never find a way to any point that you've not defined that you need to get to.